Football players are full of adrenaline as is. In a contact sport where you're going full speed, it's expected. So are the dust-ups, especially when you're going against a team other than your own. And we had a few of those Tuesday morning for the first of two joint practices between the Commanders and the Ravens. Back-to-back scuffles between the Baltimore offense and Washington defense as tempers flared on the field. But when the smoke cleared and the dust settled, it was back to football and what was overall a really good day for both teams.
We got a lot of work done. I mean, that's the bottom line. We got a lot of work done. Joint practices are a challenge always, obviously, because you got two teams out here and there's a lot of pride. So I thought it was a really good practice. We had a couple dust-ups, which you don't want to see, but it's not really unexpected. I thought they got handled pretty quickly. We called the guys up there on our field over there on our offensive field and talked to our guys, and Ron talked to their guys, and after that it was calmed down. So I felt good about that.
So we're unsure how much we'll see the starters play in preseason, especially Lamar Jackson and Marlon Humphrey. So for them to be able to go out and get reps against another team in a joint practice like today is something that these guys really value.
It was wonderful. It's good to go against someone else instead of my teammates, every day. It was good to get out to another team.
This is actually, kind of almost better than preseason. It's much harder to tackle without going to the ground. And then you're covering, elite guys, every single play doing your 3rd and 1s, you're putting in good position, good and bad position. So I think for a lot of guys, me, Roquan, Marcus, we're kind of taking these days as these are our 2 preseason games, not knowing how much preseason action we'll see. But, I think joint practices is some of the best work you can really get.
Coming up tonight as the Ravens family mourns the loss of Alex Collins, his former head coach John Harbaugh and some former teammates reflect on his time here in Baltimore. For now in Owings Mills, Rocco DeSangro for Sports Unlimited.
Well, tomorrow morning, the Women's World Cup semifinal continues. Australia will play England. The winner advances to the finals to take on Spain. You can catch the game at 6 a.m. on Fox 45. You can watch our morning show during that time on the CW Baltimore. Jasmine.
Thanks, Kai. We are continuing to keep track of showers and storms currently moving across the state, but following our cold front, we're back to nice and dry weather starting tomorrow, and that continues into the weekend. Sunny skies on Friday with temperatures around 88. Then we'll be below average on Saturday as high temperatures reach the mid-80s. We'll have plenty of sunshine all weekend long. Then on Sunday, we end on a hot note. Temperatures will be in the low 90s, and we've got an even hotter day for Monday. Coming up, I'll have a closer look at what to expect over the next 7 days in about 20 minutes. Back to you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock, we'll have an update in the Hunter Biden probe, why a deal with the president's son to resolve a gun charge is now invalid. And a young person falls victim to the city's crime crisis. What we're learning about a 16-year-old shot and killed yesterday near Johns Hopkins Hospital.
concerned that new laws on the books are not stopping illegal street racing. Fox 45 News questions Baltimore police on their role in stopping incidents like this one. A shooting inside the Timonium Sky Zone trampoline park, leaving one dead. Tonight, we're hearing from the Baltimore County executive. And new developments in the probe against President Biden's son, why a special counsel is now calling a part of his plea deal invalid.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
A new law on the books meant to crack down on illegal street racing, clearly not deterring some reckless drivers from taking to Baltimore City streets. This is video from over the weekend at the intersection of North and Mount Royal Avenues. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. BPD says officers responded to that incident, but no arrests were made. Tonight, Fox 45 News is pressing BPD and city leaders on whether the new laws are being properly enforced. Rebecca Pryor has the story.
Stricter penalties for street racers have been on the books in Baltimore for about 10 months now. But after the scene this weekend, the councilman behind that law argues it's not being utilized as often as it should be. It's a problem plaguing the streets of Baltimore for years now. But late last year, Mayor Brandon Scott signing a new law carrying a $1,000 fine or 1 year in jail for incidents like these. Meant to target reckless drivers, passengers, and even onlookers.
I've seen them take action.
The bill's author, Councilman Yitzi Schleifer, sending Fox 45 cell phone video he took back in February of a car doing endless donuts in the Northwest Baltimore parking lot. Schleifer saying he called it in and witnessed BPD crack down on his new street racing law firsthand.
Ended up writing them a series of tickets and towing the person's car.
But that wasn't the case over the weekend. BPD making no arrests despite police lights shining in the background as hundreds gathered at the intersection of North and Mount Royal Avenue watching drag racers and drifters taking over and shutting down the heavily trafficked area for at least an hour, barely missing those standing dangerously close to the action.
It's being enforced sometimes, but it needs to be enforced all the time.
On Monday, Fox 45 asking the department exactly how many fines and arrests has BPD made under the new street racing law. We're still waiting for an answer and for an explanation why responding officers claimed this weekend's scene was clear upon their arrival.
Staffing shortages is the problem there.
To up enforcement with a department that's more than 500 officers down, Schleifer now planning a trip to each individual police precinct,
Educating them on the law and how to properly enforce it,
including offering new strategies and tactics to tackle more crime with less officers.
Foxtrot is a force multiplier. The helicopter, can be overhead, can gather license plates information. We can start working on citations that way as well.
And not only is street racing a danger to drivers, but it also prevents emergency vehicles like ambulances from getting where they need to be in a reasonable amount of time, which is just another reason why Schleifer emphasizes that enforcement needs to improve. Reporting from police headquarters, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Well, a 16-year-old is the latest young person to fall victim to violence here in Baltimore. Police today confirming the teen was shot and killed in what they believe to be a double drive-by shooting. It happened near Johns Hopkins Hospital. Police say the two victims, a 26-year-old man and a 16-year-old boy, were standing on the sidewalk when a white vehicle pulled up and an occupant began firing in their direction. Both were rushed to an area hospital with gunshot wounds. The teen was pronounced dead. Juveniles falling victim to and committing crime has been a top concern voiced by residents. Fox 45 spoke with a father who says his son was one of two teens shot at the Inner Harbor this past Easter.
He went down to Inner Harbor on Easter with a friend of his, and gunfire started off and he was shot twice.
This past Easter?
This past Easter.
How's he doing now?
He's paralyzed from the waist down. A bullet shattered a vertebrae and lodged against the spinal cord after going through a lung.
As for this latest case, aside from the white vehicle, no suspect description has been provided. No arrests have been made. In all, 13 juveniles have been killed this year. More than 70 young people have been hurt in shootings. A disturbing crime in Timonium over the weekend, leaving residents on edge after a man is shot and killed inside the Sky Zone trampoline park in Timonium. But it is not the first crime to shock the conscience of Baltimore County residents this year. Tonight, County Executive Johnny Olszewski is responding. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker spoke with the county executive. She has the very latest on a crime that has rocked the community.
So many parents, they bring their children here for fun, for birthday parties, you name it. It's a very popular spot in this community, and it now has some of them questioning whether or not children will be safe.
We just got a call for shots fired at 23 West Allery at the Sky Zone.
Saturday night, police say 30-year-old Quentin Walker opened fire inside the Sky Zone trampoline park in Timonium, killing Marcus Whitehead as children fled for their safety. According to charging documents, Walker traveled from Colorado to visit his child. He told police he shot Whitehead after he stood up and started walking towards him inside the trampoline park.
I'm extremely shocked that it happened in this area.
The brazen crime has startled the suburbs.
Things are getting out of control with crime. It's scary. I don't even like going in the city anymore, and that really kind of terrifies me that it's happening here, too.
County Executive Johnny Olszewski on WBAL Radio's C4 and Brian Neiman show this morning.
Shock, horrifying, they're all the right descriptors of what happened here.
Calling the homicide an act of cowardice. He says he understands where the concern is coming from.
I come at this as a parent. My daughter and I have been to that location several times, and it's something that is abhorrent. The action that this person has taken, it inflicts, unnecessary trauma on innocent little kids.
However, crime has bled into many Baltimore County communities this year, leaving residents on edge from Towson to Pikesville. At the beginning of February, 3 victims were raped at gunpoint just steps from the Towson Circle.
It's becoming a very unsafe place to live, and this is not what we expected living in Towson.
Later that month, a 17-year-old boy was killed near the Towson Town Center. County leaders, police, and business owners gathering a day later for a crime walk, where Olszewski pledged additional security measures. In April, a 17-year-old was shot and killed in Overlea. In June, there was a homicide in Lansdowne, another in Woodlawn. Last month, a 45-year-old woman was found shot dead near Pikesville High School. And in Timonium this month, a man was arrested after assaulting a woman in Carter's children's store. According to police data, there have been a total of 14 homicides through the end of June, down from the same time period last year. But still, worry from parents after Saturday night's shooting, as Olszewski promises it was an outlier.
While this is tragic and shocking and horrifying, it does appear to be isolated.
Walker is being held without bond. A hearing is scheduled for September 8th. In Timonium, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
The fight between BGE and Baltimore residents over external gas regulators continues. Residents and the utility company made their cases today in front of the Maryland Public Service Commission. Now, during today's hearing, BGE stood by its position that installing external gas regulators will improve safety. Residents opposing this utility work question that safety argument. They want the option to choose an internal gas regulator, alleging BGE has bullied customers into agreeing to have external regulators installed, threatening them with service shutoffs. Listen to this exchange between one of the commissioners and a BGE official.
It wasn't that long ago. You had replaced a number of mains in other parts of the city. I think Bolton Hill is often pointed to. So, I mean, are we to understand now that Bolton Hill is not a safe place in your system?
So first of all, let me just say this. We're not saying that regulators on the indoors are not safe. What we are saying is that regulators on the outside are safer.
Well, the chair of the PSC said they will issue a decision on how to move forward, but said that directive would not come today. The class action lawsuit over gas regulators is due back in court in just 3 weeks. That's when the temporary restraining order against the project is set to expire.
Fox 45 is following breaking news. Special counsel David Weiss says a deal with President Biden's son Hunter to resolve a felony gun possession charge was never binding. The problem is it was never signed by the chief U.S. probation officer for Delaware. That deal would have required her signature to be lawful. That deal was later withdrawn. though Biden's lawyers said Sunday they thought it was valid and binding. Biden's lawyers say they tried to amend the deal after July 26, when a federal judge refused to accept a plea agreement on 2 tax charges. Since that time, Biden's lawyers have reached an impasse with prosecutors, and no new deal has been reached. Mary?
Kai, thank you. We are on weather alert tonight, tracking storms across the state. This is a live look now at our weather radar, the Inner Harbor and Towson. Seems like the storms missed us here tonight in Baltimore, but we are still bringing, they're still bringing rain south and east of us. Let's check in with meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with the latest on the forecast. Jasmine?
Yeah, Mary, that's right. We really haven't seen much rain in terms of this latest weather maker. However, we did have some heavy rain to our south, including parts of Anne Arundel County, and also along the eastern shore, where we are still seeing some spots of heavy rain. We remain under this aerial flood watch through 8 p.m. So as we continue over the next few hours, we could have a couple of spotty showers and potential storms. And so make sure that you are driving safely. Coming up, I'll have a closer look at the timing of these storms, and I'll let you know what to expect for the rest of the week and into the weekend. Back to you.
Will the political impact of a 4th Trump indictment be any different than the first 3? I'm Atra El-Nashar with a look at how it's playing out so far.
Political reaction pouring in on the 4th indictment against former President Donald Trump, who remains the front runner in the Republican presidential primary. Let's go now to national correspondent Atra El-Nashar, who joins us live from Capitol Hill with much more on all of this. Very busy surrounding this new indictment, Atra.
Yeah, no shortage of things to talk about here. Good evening, Mary. And even though this indictment out of Georgia has some key differences than the federal indictment against Trump for alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election, the political reaction is largely the same.
For the 4th time, power players in the Republican Party are sounding off against an indictment brought against former President Donald Trump. Minutes after it was unsealed, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy wrote, now a radical DA in Georgia is following Biden's lead by attacking President Trump and using it to fundraise her political career.
Between Manhattan and Fulton County and D.C., the most liberal jurisdictions in the country, it's very unfair to President Trump.
Despite his mounting legal trouble, now facing a total of 91 charges across 4 cases, Trump's political momentum in the Republican Party hasn't faded. A new Morning Consult poll conducted before the Georgia indictment showed Trump leading the pack with support from 57% of GOP primary voters. The only other candidate with double digits is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis at 16%. Trump's opponents reluctant to criticize him for his alleged crimes, with a few exceptions.
I said over a year ago, that Donald Trump should withdraw from the race because of what he is facing.
Former New Jersey governor and candidate Chris Christie, who's one of Trump's biggest critics, is questioning this latest indictment.
I think that this conduct is essentially covered by the federal indictment. I think this was unnecessary, as to Donald Trump.
On the other side of the political aisle, Georgia Congresswoman Nikema Williams, whose district includes Fulton County, says, in Fulton County, we apply the law equally to everyone, even failed former presidents. The White House declining to comment. One person who is calling out the Republican Party as a whole.
The shadow of Trump looms so large over all of them. The only satisfaction may be that the system is working.
Now, Trump himself has been airing his grievances on Truth Social, and we'll hear more from him directly on Monday. Mary, Trump says he'll be giving a quote-unquote major press conference in Bedminster, New Jersey, where he's got a golf club.
Of course, and Acha, next week is also the first GOP primary debate. Do we know yet if Trump will participate in this? He hasn't really been definitive on it.
Right, and that's likely by design. It's giving us something to talk about. Trump's not yet committed to going, nor has he committed to not going. Right now, he and his team are probably trying to figure out if it's worth his time, if he needs to. You saw that Morning Consult poll. He's not hurting for support numbers-wise. So it may just be about where the political conversation is this time next week. He and his co-defendants do have about 10 days to turn themselves in, so this is certainly going to be at the forefront for quite some time. So come this time next Wednesday, will he feel like he has more to gain or more to lose by being up on that stage? And if he is on that stage, you know he and likely his opponents are going to be asked about these indictments and how much they should matter. I think something that I would like to ask Ronna McDaniel, the chair of the RNC, is what's the deadline here? When are you going to have to tell candidates to commit or hold off?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. I don't know if she'd answer, right?
Probably not.
Acha Elnishar reporting live for us in D.C. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, here is where we stand. Trump now faces 4 criminal indictments and more than half a dozen civil lawsuits. He's pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts for falsifying business records related to hush money payments in 2016. He is also facing 40 felony counts over alleged mishandling of classified documents. Trump is also charged with 4 felony counts over an alleged effort to remain in power after the 2020 presidential election and exploit the January 6th Capitol riot. For the trial in Georgia, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis says she is hoping to fast-track the start date.
It will be the judge that sets the date of the trial. This office will be submitting a proposed scheduling order within this week. However, that will totally be at the discretion of the judge. We do want to move this case along, and so we will be asking for a proposed order that occurs a trial date within the next 6 months.
Willis says all of the accused, including Trump and Trump's former lawyer Rudy Giuliani, have until noon on August 25th to voluntarily surrender, but the grand jury has issued arrest warrants.
Right now, you're taking a look over Baltimore and over Towson, where we can see a little bit of sunshine, not much in terms of rain, but on the HD radar, we can see some showers and storms around the region, and it's all part of our latest weather maker, and that's what's led to a couple of strong, even severe storms across parts of the state. We are in this area of green for an aerial flood watch that runs through 8 p.m. We're keeping track of a few showers closer to Gaithersburg. The rain is on the light to moderate side, but we are seeing some heavy rain along the eastern shore and closer to the Denton area. Farther south, we have a severe thunderstorm warning there. So the strongest storms that we're seeing, the heaviest of rain, is all along the eastern shore with these quick moving storms. This is all part of a larger system. We have this cold front that's moving east over our region. That's what's leading to showers and storms, not just here, but even as we look farther south along the coast where you see all of those lightning strikes. We'll start to dry out over the next few hours. However, we remain under the slight risk, threat level 2 of 5. 84 for the current temperature, feels hotter, more like the 90s. We're seeing temperatures in the 80s and 90s across the state. Now, as we continue into the night, there will be the chance for a few stray showers, but we're not looking at a washout. We're back to nice and dry weather tomorrow. Then throughout the day, plenty of sunshine, lower humidity, and that pattern stays nice and dry over the next several days. Temperatures tonight fall to 68 with a chance for a few spotty showers. Then after that, we're back to nice and pleasant weather. I'll let you know what you can expect in the exclusive 10-day forecast.
Jasmine, thank you. A police search of a small-town newspaper causing concern for First Amendment advocates, why the paper's publisher is calling the raid deadly. In tonight's Assignment America, the police search of a small-town newspaper is alarming some First Amendment activists. The paper's publisher calling the raid deadly. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins has the story.
It was a scene the small-town Kansas newspaper didn't see coming.
It's shocking to say the least. These kinds of newspaper office raids are almost unheard of in this country or in any country that protects a free press.
Marion police raiding the office of the Marion County Record, confiscating computers, cell phones, and other items. The search, part of a case where a local restaurant owner accused the paper of obtaining damaging personal information through illegal means. The newspaper's editor, Eric Meyer, claims they did nothing wrong.
What really happened was a source sent us that information.
A simultaneous raid